This whole situation with Laurence Fox has got me to thinking about lots of different videos that I see here on YouTube and obviously other platforms. Specifically in that Laurence Fox has been arrested and had his house raided for conspiracy to commit a crime. Now, many people in the comments section, quite understandably, have said, how is it that somebody can be arrested for a crime that hasn't yet happened? Because obviously if the crime hasn't yet happened, then on the face of it, no harm done, right? But that's not what the law says. The law provides that if there is a conspiracy to commit a crime, that in itself is a crime. And just as a very brief interlude, you may know that I've launched a brand new channel, Daniel Shensmith, linked in the description below, where I'm going to help you build wealth. On this channel, I help you understand law. On that channel, I will help you build wealth. Check it out. I hope to see you there. Thousands of you have been there already. I thank you all so much. But now, back to the video. The crime itself doesn't have to have taken place, and there doesn't have to even need to be any preparatory steps. In fact, if there were, that would be an attempt, because the law provides that an attempted offence is also an inchoate offence, i.e. an offence that hasn't fully been completed, but a set of circumstances where somebody has taken steps that are more than merely preparatory, then that is an attempt at the offence itself. And the starting point is that it's treated as the offence, as though it were carried out in full. But let's wind this back a minute and think about, why am I talking about this in the first place? What has this got to do with anybody else? Well, as I often say on this channel, these sort of things should be applied equally, fairly, universally, and should apply to everybody. Now, if Laurence Fox has produced a video that the police deem to be some sort of admission to, or at least reasonable suspicion that is involved in the conspiracy to commit a crime, there are various other videos online that are doing exactly the same thing. And I would urge and encourage the police to do exactly the same thing with them, in that some videos are encouraging people. I'm not going to play any of the video because I can't be bothered with the fallout of a copyright claim and fighting that. Not that I would lose it, but that's not the point. I can't be bothered with the fallout. So I'm not going to play those videos, and I don't want to encourage people to watch it. So you shouldn't watch it. But just take my summary of it as follows. Some people online are explaining to people how they have reclaimed their council tax and how they can get all of that money back by making a declaration to the bank that these payments were made, I quote, in error. Now, if those council tax payments are made by direct debit, now let's break this down. First of all, if a payment is made by direct debit, it is covered by the direct debit guarantee. That means if the payment is the wrong amount, it was taken in error, it's taken the wrong date, or just simply shouldn't have been taken at all, it is a guarantee that the bank will just recall the payment. And then your payment status reverts to as it was before. The money's back in your account. Now, many people think that this is a great idea to get your money back. However, here's the serious warning with it, and I'll come back to why it's linked to Laurence Fox in a moment. Here is the serious warning about that. Let's say it's nothing to do with council tax. Let's say that you've signed up to a subscription to anything else and you're paying your monthly subscriptions. Let's say it's your mobile phone bill, whatever. And you're paying £25, £35 a month, whatever it is, and you're paying that for 6 months. There is a time limit on how far back you can go with direct debit reclaims. But I think there's a limit anyway. But let's say that each of those payments were genuinely incorrect. Let's say they've taken £50 and it's supposed to be £35 a month. Now, in theory, you can go to your bank, you can say all of these payments were incorrect, I'd like all those payments back, and the bank will duly refund those payments. That then reverts you to a point of debt in a sense that you still owe the company £35 per month, but obviously they took £50, so that was wrong. So that was a genuine, to an extent, there's a caveat I'll come back to in a minute, but that was a genuine recall of those payments from that company. But let's say, the caveat I was going to come back to is you still owe them the difference, so it's not entirely honest. So I don't advise you do that either. There is a way around it. But let's say that the company took £35. You owe them £35 per month. And you're making those payments by direct debit every month. And it's the amount that you owe, the amount that you're supposed to pay. But then some clever clogs says, well, you can get all this money back and there's nothing they can do about it. Well, obviously there is something they can do about it. Several things, in fact. But let's say you go to the bank and you say, these were all taken in error. You get all the £35 payments back. And then you're in debt to the £35 per month to that company. There's two things that can fall out here. First of all, the simplest and the least of your worries is that the company can sue you for all of the amount because you haven't paid it. What they'll do first is ask you for the money. And if you don't pay it, then they might well sue you for it. That's the least of your concerns. And I say least, it's still a major concern because you'll be taken to court. If they get the judgment against you, then you get a CCJ, which is a county court judgment, and then they can enforce it. So all sorts of other fallout from that with enforcement proceedings. But I say that's the least of your concerns because what you would have actually done there would amount to fraud. Because if you have recalled payments that were taken honestly and genuinely, but you have dishonestly recalled them, and here's where the fraud comes in. If you say to your bank that the payment was taken in error and it wasn't, that is a dishonest statement to make a gain for yourself and a loss to the company. That is quite plainly the definition of fraud under the Fraud Act 2006. Wind that back to the situation of council tax, exactly the same applies. If you tell your bank that they were taken in error, the bank will apply the direct debit guarantee and they will recall those payments. But make no mistake, if those payments were correct and genuine, then you've committed fraud. Now, the videos that I'm talking about rely on their assumption, their arguments that council tax itself is a fraud, which is ridiculous, by the way, so don't believe that. But they rely on the argument that council tax shouldn't be paid in the first place, and therefore you are entitled to recall those payments. Now, if there were a genuine miscalculation in the council tax, then you can speak to the council and say, excuse me, you have miscalculated this. Can you recalculate it and refund me the difference? There might be a bit of back and forth, but on the whole, I suspect that they will comply, and I suspect that they will recalculate, and if you are due a refund, they will apply a refund to you. But if it turns out that all of that was accurate, and you've recalled the payments by telling the bank that they were taken in error, which is not the case, that is fraud. So what's this got to do with Laurence Fox? So we wind back and we end up where we started. These videos online are telling you, the viewer, if you watch their channel, I don't suggest you do, but viewers of their channel, and some of them have got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, these channels. Some of them hosting other people and talking to it. And actually, one of you guys, my viewers, sent me this email actually this morning to say, maybe you should talk about this. So here I am talking about that. So thank you for sending me the idea, because it's a warning that I think everybody should have. Because maybe not everybody understands this. But winding this back to what it's got to do with Laurence Fox. If Laurence Fox went on an interview and said, I'm going to do this, and that gave the police reasonable suspicion that he was conspiring to commit a crime and they've arrested him and raided his house, then so too, the people that are recording these videos, encouraging people to do exactly this, make a false statement to their bank, to recall their direct debit for council tax that is probably on the balance of probabilities already due and not calculated in error, at least for the most part. There will be a percentage, there always is, that is miscalculated and in error and so on. But they should be doing it in an honest way, i.e. speaking to the council and saying, I think you've done this in error, please recalculate it, or please refund it if it's not actually due. But if they ring the bank and say these were taken in error and the bank refund them, that's fraud. And if the people are encouraging people to do this online and even helping them to do it, and therefore it's a plan, that's conspiracy. And so those people, so too, if Laurence Fox is going to be arrested for exactly that, then so too should others. Now, as you know, on this channel, I remain neutral. I'm not defending Laurence Fox in what he's done and said, and I'm not against him either. I'm remaining neutral. I'm telling you as it is and how these things apply, because I appreciate you all have different views, and as I've said many times, opinions they only matter to you. My opinion may matter to me. It doesn't necessarily matter to you. Only when you want my opinion, I will provide you my opinion. And I do that over on Black Belt Secrets, linked in the description below. Check that out there as well. And so if you see these other videos online, you might be minded to report them, or just at least ignore them. Because if you feel very strongly about Laurence Fox being arrested for things like this, so too you should feel just as seriously about other videos that are encouraging other people to commit those sort of crimes as well. I'll leave that to you. Obviously, some people like to report things and some people don't report things. That is entirely a matter for you. But if you see these videos online, do know that they're encouraging you to commit fraud. So don't be tempted by those. You could end up in a heap of trouble yourself. We've had clients come to us that have ended up with fraud charges against them for things exactly like this. So I hope you avoid it. I hope this has been enlightening to you. Don't forget to check out my new channel for helping you build wealth, Daniel Shensmith, linked in the description below. And as always, I thank you so much for your time, your attention, your support of this channel, and of course, for watching.